Ora, ora, ora. Chegou a último dia da live da Band, né? Da torre. O que esperar? First? Não, Guilherme. Infelizmente você foi o segundo. O Pedro foi o primeiro. Se a missão da Sussurro voltar, será que ela volta a ser meta? Depende dos perks, velho. Se ela, tipo, tiver adicionais, né? Depende muito com que ela voltar. Ou adicionar, no caso. Mas... Cara, é foda, velho. Que eles estão fazendo muito boss que... é muito movimentado, ou seja, o sniper é um pouquinho mais complicado. Tirando caso alguém use divindade, né? Aí já fica um pouco mais fácil. Mas você tá aqui de boa? Um engano. Um grandioso engano. Não automático. Ih, Xing de boa. Qual será que vai voltar? A missão da Lore? Ou da Surton? Essa sussurra é garantida, né? Já imaginamos isso. Ai, cara. Deu reunião na hora da live? F. Cara, assim, por mim eu queria dar War, né? Pô, uma War craftável ia ser muito legal. Só que, essa semana o Shu vendeu uma muito boa. Pra quem não comprou. Essa aqui é a minha antiga, mas é a mesma versão que ele tá vendendo atual. Atualmente lá na torre, na terra. Não lembro agora. Ele tem exatamente a minha lá. Então caso vocês queiram, podem lá comprar. Então, sei lá, véi. A surta ia ser engraçado de ver, craftável. Teremos que esperar pra ver, né? Só Fulbor que é meh? Pior que não, velho. Como você tem uma tempestade, você não precisa de muito mais. Você já tem 63 de estabilidade. Mas cabo pesado. Não é tão ruim na War. Testar esse pulso que ele pega um bom. Pira, comecei a jogar os ilhas esse fim de semana, boa. Nem joguei Dash esse fim de semana. Não. Uma dica. Entenda o mapa. Entenda o meta, entenda o mapa. E você vai conseguir farol. Não sei o que é farol. Farol é esse aqui. E cadê de boa? Aquilo ali. Aí nunca foi, então você sabe o que é. Falei, velho. Se você conhecer o meta, conhecer o mapa, você pega farol. Só uma questão de tempo depois. É bem ruim. Precursora. Eu vi que o meta do mapa tava bem batedor, pulso, bem distante. Estabilidade. Não. Também não. Finalmente não veio recarga. E Druv de boa. YouTube de Dash tá falando das armas bandeiras de ferro dessa semana, são boas. São realmente boas. Dessa vez você pode escutar eles. Momento raro. Shocking. Tu tá? Tô de boa. Esperando a nossa amiga Bond entrar em live, né? A Multiaço, que é 900, né? RPM do Bandeira, ela vai vir com o modelo 6, esse que é o nome, modelo 8, agora não lembro. Que é a melhor mira dela e que dá 15 de zoom, que ajuda com magnetismo de bala. Mesmo não ajudando com alcance mais do zoom, ele ajuda com magnetismo de bala, ou seja, acertar tiro de mais longe mais fácil. Isso é legal. Será que vão anunciar quais jornadas vão voltar? Sim. Hoje vai ser os mapas do Crisol, os 3 mapas, as missões exóticas e uma surpresa, eles falaram. E aí, Guilherme de boa. E depois você tem o GL, né, do Bandeira de Ferro, que tem uns bons perks. Poderia ser melhor, velho. Vocês poderiam ter realmente colocado algo tipo diferente ali. Eles poderiam ter alguns perks na quarta coluna que são tipo juntos, poderiam estar na terceira. Eles não quiseram arriscar. Ia ser engraçado de ver eles lá. Mas em geral tá. São bons, as armas. Se pegar uma com alcance de ferro e alvo na mira, eu durmo feliz. Cadê? Jaço. Na nova. Peraí. É que tem que ver a nova. Exatamente, deixa eu ver. A nova você vai querer alvo em movimento ou redução dinâmica na primeira. Toque no gatilho. Alcance de ferro. Cara, alvo na mira eu não tenho certeza. Como é uma 900, a porcentagem do alvo na mira é maior. Se não me engano é tipo 15% a de dano a mais na 720. E nas 900 são tipo 18%. Coisa assim. Então... Não sei, tem que realmente testar. Eu acho que não vai fazer muita diferença. Deixa eu ver, vou colocar aqui pra ver. 67. E garante ali o 67,67. Não sei, eu tenho que testar. É aquele negócio, né, velho? O carregador mortal, quando você pega, velho, é 0,53. Porra, eles não atualizaram no site. Isso é com os valores antigos, né, de vida. Mas para ter um pouco de noção, né? Então, não sei, velho. Vamos ver como é que é. Ontem foi minha primeira vez jogando Desafio de Osiris, tem uma coça normal. Primeira vez de tudo. E desce de boa? Você tá. O nome do gênero da bandeira de ferro, o novo, cara, é um nome estranho. Deixa eu ver se eu acho em PTBR. O nome dele é Presa do Javali. Já, Guilherme. Tem vídeo no canal com ele. Minha gata sumiu, F. O que você tá fazendo na live? Não procurando ela. Tá sendo invejoso, filhote. Sendo invejoso. Passou em cadeia. Pô, eles colocaram deslizamento, velho. E não um tiro deslizado. Desgraçados. Os caras foram inteligentes nessa. Foram espertinhos. Bonito? Por que, né? É um modelo um pouco diferente do outro. Tipo, a base do modelo a gente já tem, mas é um pouco modificado. Isso é legal. Tem uma pra PV, com certeza. Para PVP, GL de onda. A menos que tenha quebra babadora, não. São as coisas. Piro, você faz lá no OBS, sim. Tem que jogar PVP, vai ter que jogar PVP. Quem diria Guide voltando pro PVP? E para só não assistir. Não é mesmo? Faz uns dias. Bom. Complicado, velho. Um 10 de resiliência. É, no quick play, tipo. Você não precisa de abusar do Titã. Tipo, não é tão meta igual era antigamente. Mas o Titã continua sendo muito, muito bom nos CVCs. A hora que alguém pegou ela. Oh, porra. What the fuck, velho? Compra tua gata, cara. Você tá na live. Primeira partida. E Samuel de boa? Gato quando some volta grávida. E nasce 12 gatos. Tá bom. A última coisa que ele queria escutar era isso. Eu acho. Esqueci de parar, velho. Entendi porque tem esses dois modos ainda, velho. Sendo bem, bem sincero. Acho que ninguém joga controle normal. Por causa. Que deve ser muito suado, velho, né? O que você acha do Helldivers 2? Eu não joguei, velho. Não posso te dar uma opinião de algo que não tenho ideia. Eu vi coisas boas sobre. Meu Deus. Não! Quase. Castrada? Ah, então tá mais de boa. Nossa, pesado. Me fudeu. Esqueci que a pesada era lá dentro e não do lado de fora. PVP, controle, teclado e mouse, controle. Todo jogo de PVP hoje em dia é controle. A menos que você seja fanático por mouse e teclado igual eu. Ele faz um vídeo com as melhores armas para PVP na atualidade. Né? Já tem. Saiu faz só uma semana. Te aconselho a ver. Ó, o jogo pode dar no seu jogo. Eu só vou atualizar esse vídeo depois que tiver bom lançamento do mesmo. A Débora, muita gente gostou, mas eu não gostei desse jogo. Ah, cara, tudo vai ser preferência, né? Mas muita gente gostou mesmo. Passando pelo mapa, finalmente. Uma dúvida se o perk exponencial. O que tem? Tá escrevendo que sabe. Parabéns. Aí tem um perk. Cada um tem o seu. É, só que. Isso aqui ajuda quando tem muita gente jogando, né? Escreveu certo? Não, ele escreveu inicial. Inicial. Tipo, a arma tem 100 de alcance, o perk dá mais alcance, mas assim não. O limite da arma é 100 de alcance. Então a arma vai ter 100 de alcance. Se ela tiver 80, o disparo inicial vai te dar 20. E em especial é 50%, ou seja, tipo, se a escopeta tiver 40 de alcance, ela vai te dar mais 10. Tô entre vender minha alma e continuar no Destiny ou voltar para o Warframe. Por que vender a alma e continuar no Destiny? Qual a relação dos dois? Mas dá mais precisão? Sim, o hitbox fica mais fácil de acertar. Tudo que muda, se você tiver presença de alcance na arma e disparo inicial, tudo que vai mudar é que o alcance não vai ser adicionado. Né? E aí, Evandro, de boa? Duas horas cada missão? Ué, se o cara gostar. Se o cara gostar. Campanha da bruxainha, as missões eram tipo 40 minutos aí. Não entra no caso, né? Eu quero ver os mapas do Chris velho. Vai ser engraçado. Em geral não compensa muito. Não. Não. A menos que seja uma sniper, por exemplo, que aí tipo, a sniper fica com 100 de alcance, mas você tem disparo inicial, ou seja, fica mais fácil de acertar os tiros, aí vale a pena. Qual é o teste hoje? Eu só tô jogando. Tô esperando a live da Band. Só isso. Podiam voltar com aqueles mapas antigos do Destiny 2. Espero que não sejam iguais aos da Bruxainha. Eles falam que são menores, são do tamanho do Javelin. Se às vezes estava esticado, a exclamação res. Tem alguma mandinga de pegar as mil vozes da rádio por baú certo? Sim. São 24 baús, não? 20, acho que são 24, né? 21. Não lembro agora quantos são exatamente. E acho que 2 tem a arma. Então se você for no certo, você pega a arma. Cara achou, né? O cara tem escudo, velho. Podia trazer um... Não, esse mapa aí tô de boa, pode ficar no destino. E BR de boa. Será que as coisas que eles falam na campanha que voltar pro game? Talvez. Tô vendo. Não saberei dessa parte, velho. Vai ser interessante. Forma de usar pulse em mapa pequeno. Então, que tal se eu trocar de arma? Porque esse mapa aqui não vai dar, velho, de pulse. Sem verdade. Tá slide de jogo. Meu Deus do céu, cara. PVP melhor no PC no console. No PC. Cada mortal. Ah, não. Mesma coisa. Vai dar bungo no meu aniversário. Nice. Olha, Hugo. Praia. Bem-vindo. Se você tiver config boa. Eu acho que ele tá perguntando pro PVP em geral, velho. Não só pro, tipo, meta. Pra PVP em geral, mesmo com, tipo, obviamente com... Ai, Deus do céu. Mesmo com, tipo, PC ruim, o meta vai continuar sendo diferente do console, tipo, entre aspas. Você tem a minha voz e o lança foguete? Sim. Tem todas as armas do jogo. O cara conseguiu errar 2 tiros. Ele ainda tá fazendo bug da Warp Falcão. Isso. Ela dropou o mesmo premium? Shit. Só curto, cara. Esse cara tá ficando velho. Ué, você acha que não? Você acha que escapa? Pior que tinha que mandar alguém, velho. Não consegui dar slide, velho. Esse jogo é muito ruim. Quanto do cara dele. Curte a ação combinada? Não. Ainda só aquele pulso exótico? Não. Só depois do update. Ainda fica semi-decente. E já não perdi a linha de boa. Cara, isso dá slide mais uma vez. E essa desgraça não sair, velho. Vou dar o F4. E Dark de boa. E... mais um. Você tá lá aqui, igual? Três bolhas, meu Deus do céu. Agora eu entendi porque tanto de overshield. What the fuck? Deixa eu jogar. Nice, nice. Meu Deus, arma de luz, overshield. Enerrei o negócio. Você vai estar com qual binder? CTRL. Continua. Vai vida de boa. São João. Torcendo pra nenhum chorão. Você não conhece a comunidade. Você volta agora, né? Explicação. Eu esqueço que existe. É, competitiva. A famosa playlist morta. Infelizmente o fez muito só. Cinco horas pra jogar competitivo, meu Deus do céu. Quem é de boa? Pô, 5 horas pra jogar um. Cara, tu tomou quantos erros monguço, velho? Yes. Mais um dia, toda live da Band é foda. Live de todo jogo, velho. Já esqueceu como é quando alguém anuncia algum jogo? Quando alguém anuncia algum jogo, velho, e a gameplay, tipo, o trailer começa a ser meio parado. Mas... é tudo ZZZ no chat. Muito engraçado, velho. Tá. Isso, né? Tá bem demorado? Foda. Será que a terceira live vai ser melhor que a segunda? Difícil, velho. Porque a segunda foi o último. É verdade, velho. Mostrando 3 mapas, né? Esses mapas do Crisol. Meu Deus, não tirou, velho. Esse jogo, tá? Mostrando 3 mapas do Crisol, 2 missões exóticas. Pô, imagina. Tipo, já é meio garantido, velho, que a missão da Surra vai voltar, né? Vou morrer. Mas se fosse a War e a Sussurro voltando, velho. Sem ser a Sussurro não, a Surto. E a Sussurro não voltasse, velho. Ia ser muito engraçado. O choro que ia ter, velho. Vai voltar hoje o quê? Cara, acho que é só ele que tem 2 step, fi. O cara tá com uma hora foca. — 302 bolhas, velho. Mapa do Crisol, sim. Vai ter 3 mapas novos do Crisol em maio. Não será com, tipo, com o lançamento da LUZ ADENTRO. O que será que vai ser a surpresa que falaram? Não tenho ideia. Pira, você vai transmitir a live da Band, sim? Peguei tonalizador branco da cama de cristal, boa. Um dos melhores tonalizadores do jogo. Osiris essa semana, peguei farol, boa. Mensageiro já é bem antiga, tá? Mas é um dos melhores pulsos ainda. 20 minutos pra live. O que vai voltar hoje, Edson? Não entendi a pergunta. Os mapas? Não, só... Como falei só, né? Só em maio. Alguém tem dicas de como melhorar o controle? Cara, principalmente encontrar a tua sense, velho. Como você virou membro primeiro agora, você tem tipo, um monte de vídeo que pode te ajudar com isso. Como faço? Vai ter mais resiliência? Só aumentar isso aqui. Pegar uma armadura com mais resiliência. Será que vai ser revelado o gêmeo no Crisol? Mas por que você está usando na martelo? Olha, se você não deixou o like, deixa o like para compartilhar a live. Falta 19 minutos para a gente conhecer mais sobre a LUZ ADENTRO, próximo grande update do nosso videogame online. Esse é o perigo boss. Vou tentar rushar no primeiro dia para pegar o tonalizador like. Tem uma má notícia para você. Você só desbloqueia quando você pega todas as armas. Ou seja, só no final de abril. Com essa, velho. Animação bugada da porra, cara, fez. Meu Deus do céu. Você está caindo com gente do Xbox. Se você estiver no console e estiver jogando com alguém no PC, você está se colocando no matchmaking do PC. Por isso. Tá vendo? Xbox, PC. Valeu, Lelé, pelo membro. Seja bem-vindo. Tô gostando da queda mortal DFA no console. DFA, né? Mais ou menos. Carga explosiva tá matando com 3-step. Se o cara tiver mais de 6 de resiliência, não mata com 3-step. Esse é o problema dela atualmente, mas vai ser arrumado dia 9. Desocupação, legal. Desocupação tá muito, muito legal. Aí eu saio dali e o cara aparece. Trancado. Ok. Muitos jogadores têm escudo além da passa de vida. No X1 fica difícil matar o oponente. Esse é o escudo protetor do Titã, velho. É o... da barricada. Aí fazer o que, né? Aí a gente não pode fazer muito sobre isso. Todo mundo reclama faz 2 anos. Isso foi introduzido. Pera aí. Até peguei também a guarda exótica do Svex, boa. Uma build legal com ela no canal do PC. Se você gostar. Conheço martelo como você, mas não gosto muito de quem de mão secundário. De 120? É o melhor 120 do jogo. Gênio. Pior que mesmo assim eu prefiro jogar de arcano prisão. Nossa, porra, velho. E usar no PV. É, depende do estilo de jogo, né? Cadê vídeo build de quadro exótica? É só procurar no canal, velho. Passar uns 2, 3 meses que já se lançou. Não. Não jogou de novo, velho. Cara, não consigo usar o pulso, velho. Essa semana vai ter profecia na rotação, sim. O único problema que tá é overshield. É o tempo de recarga da bolha e overshield. Entendo o caso. Sou Titã, você voa pro outro lado do mapa. Sai da frente, meu. Yes. Tipo, melhor corpo a corpo do jogo, velho. Mas. Se fosse pra frente tinha um super, se fosse pra trás tinha um cara. É bem assim. Tá menos pior que antes. Gênio. Quero só dar corpo a corpo, tá? Fica. Fica dando estalo do arcano por mania ou ajuda em algo? Exclamação movimentação, velho. É pra andar mais rápido no mapa. Mal ele sabe que eu tenho uma espada. Vou pegar essa escopeta. Raiz pesadeus. Hide. Não entendi, chata. Opa, tem uma pra você também. Como é que ela supra ainda, velho? Porra, essa. Não, o cara não apareceu. Para o shot, né? Eu preciso só usar mirar, só atiro. Depende de onde você está contra o cara, velho.
frente é esse que eu tô tomando ele. Bom. Meu amigo. Aconteceu com o cara, aconteceu comigo. Vamos embora. Tamo junto. É, você mirando, você vai concentrar mais os tiros. Mas se você estiver muito perto do cara, vai ser meio impossível fazer isso. Né? Entende? Que isso, velho? O cara tá fazendo PowerPoint na minha frente. Só. As suas escopetas, os preços da escopeta, cara, só nas conversões. Mas é tudo igual, velho. Tipo, não tem diferença da minha pra tua. 8 minutos para a live, ou seja, essa foi a última partida. Um segundinho. Estamos. Foda que não dá pra jogar sem uma shotgun. Tá. Pô, quantas vezes já joguei sem shotgun? Tantas vezes pra usar uma arma que todo mundo queria. Beleza, chega. Fiz a câmera 10 vezes na Europeia Vex. Se tiver com titã de ar, que é um soco só. Não. É 150 de dano que ele dá. Se você tiver. Tipo, se você deixar ele. Não, se ele quebrar teu escudo, na verdade. Porque os jogadores de FPS estão ficando mais ruins ao passar do tempo, mas assim, velho. Cara, teu nome é muito difícil, velho. Me salve. Que porra é essa? Tem que ter um posicionamento diferente, exato. Você não pode se posicionar esperando ter a shotgun, né? Você tem que se posicionar, tipo, já sabendo que se o cara puxar em você, cara, você não tem shotgun. Ou seja, você não deveria estar ali em primeiro lugar. Mudaram faz algo. 3 anos já, o Guilherme. 2 anos. Faz um vídeo com o Dash nenhum na zoeira, não. Não. Peregrines é hit kill, mas aí não é um corpo a corpo, né? Ombrada. Quer dizer, tecnicamente é um corpo a corpo, mas entendeu. Essa OST é muito boa. Ele ligou o PS4 pra jogar Destiny 1, algo que eu nunca faria. Entendeu no Play 4? Nem sei. Faz muitos anos. Não vejo meu Play 4. Tô sem TV. Ah, não precisa ligar, velho. O Destiny não é. Ele é bom, velho. Mas o Destiny 2 é melhor em tudo. Menos em recompensa de assalto. A única coisa que perde. Não recomendo pra ninguém, exato. Não é questão de ser. O Destiny, os gráficos do Destiny 1 são bons, velho. Mesmo pra hoje em dia. Só que tudo em volta do Destiny 1 hoje em dia perde pro Destiny 2. Cara. Jogabilidade. GM, né? GM, PVP. Subclasse. Customização. Tudo, velho. O Destiny 1 era melhor? É, isso pode ser. Jogo no PC agora muito melhor. Assim, muito melhor. Muito melhor em questão de quê? Marcou muita pessoa? Isso sim. Isso eu concordo. Esse evento da LUZ ADENTRO vai ser que tipo de evento? É um update, velho. Tipo o pacote 30 anos da Band. Não começou? Daqui a pouco. 2 minutos. Uma mini DLC gratuita. Mas a gente pode fazer DLC ruim, porém as músicas são magníficas. Ser grátis ou paga, grátis. Tudo que você viu até agora. E vai ver hoje, é tudo de graça. Quando vai voltar os ornamentos antigos, bandeira de ferro, já voltaram e você pode pegar hoje se quiser também. Vamos ver. Aparentemente hoje são 2 missões exóticas, os 3 mapas do Crisol e também uma surpresa. O que é essa surpresa ninguém sabe. Espero que seja boa. Se a 0 hora voltar eu fico louco. Cara, eu acredito que pra mim, eu acho que vai ser 0 hora, vai começar. e a
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's
Sussurro.
good to see y'all. Welcome to our third of 3 developer live streams to talk about all the cool stuff coming up with Destiny 2 Into the Light. My name's Andy. I work on the social media team here at Bungie, and we've got an awesome set of topics to go ahead and cover today. But first things first, we wanted to go ahead and remind you guys of one clarification we made. For starters, all of the weapons in the Brave Arsenal will now be releasing on April 30th. So just as a quick reminder, all those weapons will be available for you to farm over the course of Onslaught. There's many ways with which you can go about it. For starters, obviously, you can go ahead and attune yourself to a weapon. So whether you want to go ahead and grab that recluse that you've had your eye on for so long, you've got the opportunity to go ahead and do that over the course of Onslaught.
Pra quem não viu, ele basicamente tá falando que as armas, né, semana passada tinham sido anunciadas que iam ser do update de abril até final de maio, pra ir pegando, né, iam ser 6 e depois 6 semanas, uma por semana, liberadas, e agora vai ser até final de abril, todas. Vão ser 6 no lançamento e 6 até final de abril. Surto, verdade, né? A surto. Cadê a Sussurro? Deus tá vendo, hein? Deus tá vendo, Sussurro.
Friend of the show, one and only Mr. Tom Farnsworth, Senior Design Lead here at Bungie. Tom, welcome back.
I'm back. I keep bringing me back.
I know, come on, you're the best. We couldn't possibly let you go.
No, of course, I'm the creative lead for Into the Light, but we're really here to talk about all the great work the team has done and these individuals
Sussurro e
with
surto.
us today. And we're going to talk about some exotic missions,
Ok.
some rewards.
O Ardo Falcão tinha sido anunciada, que ia ser craftável faz 2 anos já, tá?
Let's talk to everybody else here.
Great stuff. We also have, now sitting just next to Tom as well, we have Rob Adams, one of the art directors here at Bungie, and kind of the person to help come up with the concept of Into the Light. Rob, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you. We have a lot of fun stuff. We were talking before the show about a lot of cool stuff. We'll have plenty of fun details to dive into.
Sobre craftada? Se tá na missão
And of
exótica, vai ser
course,
craftável, né?
the one and only Willie Chang, activity designer here at Bungie. How you doing, Willie? Good morning.
I'm doing well.
For the folks at home that may not be familiar with you
cara é
or
muito
your
alto,
work,
velho.
what do you do here at Bungie, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm an activity designer for Into the Light. I worked on the 0 Hour reprise.
Excellent. Well,
Ele falou,
with that,
0 hora reprisada, ele trabalhou na 0 hora reprisada da LUZ ADENTRO.
Some awesome reprised exotic missions, including the Whisper and 0 Hour, which will both feature, craftable versions of each weapon. But
Duas craftáveis, Sussurro e surto. Acabou de falar.
We've had a chance to go ahead and kind of pull back the curtain and look behind the scenes a little bit. Let's go ahead and start from the very top. Rob, you were there when it all started. Why did Bungie make the Whisper to begin with?
Well, I think in the first few months of D2, I want to say like the first 3 to 5 months, we felt like there weren't enough secrets in the game. It felt like the game was pretty well known, you know, and kind of like
Tá descrevendo por que eles criaram a Whisper e como surgiu. Não tinha segredos ainda no jogo, nos primeiros 5 meses. Eles queriam criar um segredo.
It would just go over really well. We hoped it would, at least.
Yeah.
And we had all this nostalgia for the Vault of Glass and Black Spindle. I mean, one day we were just sitting in a conference room and we're like, what if we just made another Black Spindle mission, but we made it a lot bigger,
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of, we've got here on screen kind of some, if we can call it as such,
Yeah.
original concept art, let's say, for the Whisper.
Conceito de arte
Tell us a little bit about what
da
we're
missão
looking
da
at here.
Sussurro, velho.
Well, that's actually the very first whiteboard
What the
drawing.
fuck,
We
yeah.
got all excited and we ran and found a conference room and we started,
Jumping.
drawing what this could do,
Yeah.
what we would want to build.
Esse aqui eu lembro, né? Aquela parte que você
And
tem que
really, this
passar.
kind of shows some of the magic formula. You know, like we had a contract, really, that we called it a contract, and this was an unspoken agreement between us as
Arte.
devs and the hardcore, super engaged players.
Yeah.
And it really was, if you can pass a test where your mind is going to be tested, your fighting, right?
Yeah.
Is going to be tested, and you're going to be able to pass these tests, right?
Yeah.
Your movement, your mind, your fighting.
Yeah.
If you can get past these tests, you're going to be rewarded with great power.
Yeah.
And that was the contract. And so one of the other things we did, and you can see it up here in the upper left,
Yeah.
is there's a little crack, and then the path continues.
Yeah.
And that, that's the red herring. And so we thought, well, rather than lead players by the nose and have a bunch of narrative and make it really obvious what you're supposed to do, what if they get into this mysterious place and they don't know what to do? And when they go down the path that they think is right, it's not.
Yeah.
And they go blazing right past the actual opening.
Yeah.
And so we knew that, or we were pretty confident that that was going to appeal to the hardcore players, because once they learned the path,
right.
they could then bring their friends in and show them, and then we would have the videos, you know, with the walkthroughs, and it would just appeal to
as they let their friends go first that first time to watch them fall off the edge helplessly. Also, too, is, you know, to kind of focus a little bit more on the art direction as well. I think, to put it lightly, the vibe in The Whisper is pretty intense. Can you tell us what it was like, kind of imagining that space and bringing it to life?
Conceito de arte.
Yeah, well, we wanted this like intense mystery
tipo no jogo mesmo
right?
agora.
The mystery of
Esse
I'm
aqui já
on,
tá mais
I'm on
parecido.
IO and I found this place that I've never seen, I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And where does it go, right? And that mystery, and also the feeling of dread.
Yeah.
And so,
a lot of that.
yeah, and it's easy to get a vibe if you listen to one type of music, for example.
Right.
So we were watching Stranger Things and listening to the soundtrack, and I got really into you know, building this traversal puzzle. It has a really consistent vibe because it was just one type of music that was listened to for the whole thing. Yeah.
Speaks to my Hotline Miami fan inside, honestly. Also, too, is we've got another picture as well of the infamously titled Green Room as well. There was a really cool anecdote you had about the development process of this. What was it like bringing this kind of very iconic, I guess I'd say, Destiny room to life?
Yeah, well, this is funny because there was this thing that we wanted to try, right? Make a room that has a trap in the center, that if you mess up, you end up going down the trap and you get punished for it. And when you get out, you end up back in the room. And it just happens again and again and again. And there's all these different ways that you try to find your way out of this room.
Right.
So the test was to make a tiny version of this, like 1/4 scale. And we brought it into the playtest lab. We had Cosmo and Dylan. We had a bunch of our testers and designers in there.
Yeah.
And I just waited, right? And I waited for someone to
Catalisei altas armas no
find the
buraco. Que
hidden
porra é essa?
shortcut, right? Like what would happen when what's going to happen when they find that hidden shortcut?
Yeah.
And so the first person that found it, they just screamed and started laughing, and then everybody started finding it. And based on that reaction, we knew we had something good. And then it got scaled up into what you see here. And back to the vibe thing again.
Yeah.
When this got built, all I did was listen to Black Sabbath, the first 6 albums, like over and over.
Yeah.
So it just has that really consistent vibe all the way through. And that's just a trick that the whole team uses to get a theme or a vibe.
Eles gostam de ter consistência em, tipo, em cada encontro. Tipo, o encontro tem uma música consistente durante
here we
o
are.
encontro.
We're back in The Whisper as well. Really quickly, too, off the top, Willie, when it comes to, you know, bringing these encounters to the modern era of Destiny, what were some of the bigger challenges that you'd say you have to overcome in order to make sure that they were fitting for today's sandbox?
Yeah, so sandbox-wise, players nowadays pack a lot more power than they did before. People can clear entire rooms of ads from these activities back when they were in their original state.
Yeah.
Just like extremely quickly. So we had to beef up the number of combatants that are in these encounters, and later on I might talk more about additional tuning that I've done on them.
Totally, yeah, we can come back.
O cara tá fazendo speedrun da missão, velho.
Also, too, really quickly, you know, back in the day, there was a very bespoke way of getting into The Whisper. You had to kind of hang out on IO, wait for this mysterious portal to come up. But we've made some changes to that as well. I think you were mentioning before we hopped on the air.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a victim of it, right? We had the public event with the RNG, and you had to wait for the right one. And you know, one time I tried to take a coworker through on a Saturday, and we spent like 7 hours just trying to get a few runs because it's
Semana que vem, Paulo.
Right.
And that we just had to change that, right? And the team was excited about having a new, you know, benefactor, a new character that you go and talk to. So you'll be talking to Eric Bourne, Eric tell you some really cool stuff. I don't want to give it away.
Smart, yeah.
But you know, you're not going to have to deal with the frustrating trigger to get in anymore.
Excellent. Oh, that's always good to hear. Giving a chance, especially, you know, if people are going to come back in here multiple times as they kind of build up their craftable exotics. Obviously, a key component.
What the fuck?
Also, too, is, you know, I think it's worth mentioning that this has undergone more changes than just the combat landscape.
Yeah.
For the veteran players who are coming in here, folks like myself that have maybe kind of had a lot of this committed to memory, how have you gone ahead and made sure that it's fresh for those veteran guardians out there?
Yeah, well, the goal was, how is this going to be exactly what you just said, right? Like if I've played this 10, 15, 20 times, I've guided people through, maybe I've made a video about how to get through here, how's it going to speak to me, right? Like what's going to be cool for me to go in and do it again? And that was the goal that the team had. And when we knew we were going to do this, I made my own list, right? Like I was like, we're going to change this, we're going to move that, we're going to...
Estão falando de coisas que eles mudaram pra continuar, tipo, novidade mesmo para um jogador que fez 20, 15 vezes, fez vídeo, etc.
And they presented this whole plan, And I had my list all ready to go, and I was going to wait. I was going to listen to all the proposal and everything, and then start giving ideas and stuff. And when they finally finished presenting this plan for how to update this thing, I just deleted my list because it was like, it was way bigger and way cooler than anything that I'd come up with.
Yeah.
It was just so neat to see like a fresh take on it. So if you think you know where the chests are, if you think you know where all the secrets are, if you think you know where all the surprises are, you don't, because they're different. All those old guides and all the old walkthroughs, they're going to have to be remade. Even though I'll just give
todos
one
os
away.
guias antigos da missão vão ter que ser refeitos porque é muita coisa
secret
diferente.
chest room on the right. The anomaly has taken care of that. It's not there anymore.
Anomaly has taken care of it.
So more surprises.
To the Steam guide writers, to the game
Será que eles mudaram o
to
que
the
você
folks
tem que entrar
making
aqui
their
agora?
YouTube videos, a revision 2 is going to be in order sometime soon.
Oh yeah.
By the sounds of it.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. Also, too, you know, are there any other changes that you guys are particularly excited about when it comes to the Whisper? We're going to move on to 0 Hour here in a little bit, but you know, before we conclude our journey here, Willie, actually, on your side, are there any changes in particular that you're excited about with this updated version?
I'm excited about the way that the boss fight has changed for this activity.
Interesting.
Eles mudaram a boss
Well,
fight.
we'll leave that to folks to go ahead and discover on their own when it comes to the launch day of the Whisper. But yes, this is a first look.
Vocês viram, né? Eles não mostraram qual é que ele vai entrar, porque mudou, certeza, velho.
Another craftable exotic into their collection.
Eles não queriam mostrar.
The Whisper is going to be there for you, but we don't want to spoil all of it. You'll have it in your hands soon enough. And also, some folks out there have already had a chance to play it, so we don't want to go ahead and uncover too many of the mysteries. Up next, we've also got, obviously, another iconic one, 0 Hour. Let's start from the top. Can you explain, Rob, the concept behind Trevor? You've obviously got an homage to him on your...
I have my shirt, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about what this original concept was?
So Trevor was really
Pô,
inspired
isso é a missão exótica de 0 Hora, tá?
There's this Japanese game show called Takeshi's Castle, and it's been around a while. And it's great because it has all these physical challenges and people getting knocked down or, you know, flipped over and stuff and trying to get through things. And there's just a lot of comparisons to what we try to do in Destiny, and we've borrowed from that show and shows like it for a long time for cool ideas. And they have this one bit where the contestants try to get up this hill, and there's this big fake boulder that comes down the hill, right? And there's these little like side rooms, you know, like little pockets that they can try to get into. And so we were like, man, if we had something like that in the middle of this mission, that would be amazing, right? Like, and so we had this thing that we called, there it is.
Yeah, we got some concept art up on now.
So we had this thing that we called the hazard for a long time. The hazard is going to get you, right? It's going to come down at you. And on the left, you can see the original whiteboard drawing of what this could look like. And there you see the hill with the slots. We basically lifted off of Takeshi's Castle. And then that evolved into what we eventually made as a maze, right? And then there's the very first drawing of Trevor. And on the right, you can see a concept art by one of our artists named Fan Gao. And when I looked at it, it had a bit of a vacuum cleaner look. You know, it didn't quite nail the fear, you know, which we might talk about in a second here. So then on the far right, you can see the centipede legs and the light and the final revision. That's pretty close to how Trevor ended up.
Yeah, it definitely it feels terrifyingly familiar in some ways, we'll say. And I, you know, kind of while we're on the other the legs,
Good job, Tom.
which brings up honestly another great example I'd love to touch on as well is, you know, as a guardian myself, we've felled gods, we've fought some of the most difficult battles in the universe, whether it's against our fellow guardian or the many foes that set foot inside the solar system. When it comes to Trevor in particular, it elicits a very primal, sincere fear. How did you guys kind of elicit that from players who have obviously conquered so much?
Well, I think there's this like satisfaction from scaring people that's inherent.
Imagina se você consegue matar o Trevor agora, que é o robô,
at some point, it's just super fun, right? So what could we do in Destiny to actually make people feel fear? And the team was super excited about how to try to tackle that problem. Because you're right? Like Guardians can just jump away and we kill everything and we're just gods.
Invisible and dodge away.
Yeah, exactly.
To do it, yeah.
So how do you scare our players in the game, right? So the first step was drop you in a maze. There's something in there that you cannot kill. You can't jump up because the ceiling is just above your head, right? So those were the first three things.
Carai.
This thing is faster than
Nostalgia, tá fi.
So you know you're in there with something that you can't kill, that can go faster than you. And then of course we did the centipede bottom, which I have this particular phobia of centipedes. Like
The fact that you took something that is such a fear and put it front and center, honestly, like it's commendable.
I watched this video like a week ago where this dude takes a giant centipede and lets it bite him on the arm.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know. I almost passed out like watching this video.
Sim, velho,
Centipedes terrify me. And so I thought the bottom of this thing just has to be sideways centipede legs that are made out of metal, and they just grind you up when it catches you. And then the final piece of the formula for this thing really was to put a super bright light on it that would shine as a shadow caster across your, like past your body, so you can see your own shadow as you're trying to get away.
Yeah.
And honestly, like a lot of it was inspired by the anxiety that I feel, and I think folks on the team also felt when we talked about like the trope of a subway that's coming around the corner. Right.
You see that finite just clock running out in front of you.
Yep. You see the light coming, and then you see the thing.
Yeah.
And so that really helped us figure out how to make this thing as freaky as possible.
Já tem entrada na
laying down on the
torre da 0 hora.
Yeah, no.
Not a chance, no. Trevor's going to chew you up, obviously. So also, we found ourselves now, we're in the beginning stages here of the Whisper we can see on screen. Willie, we kind of touched on this briefly over the course of the Whisper, but can you tell us a little bit about what it was like sort of reinventing these combat spaces and these encounters for Guardians in a modern sandbox, especially those that are going to have the Brave arsenal available to them?
Yeah, so just now you saw a brig in this encounter, which there wasn't one before. I think there's the desire to keep the soul of the activity, which is that, oh, there's time pressure on me to finish this activity quickly, and also I'm going up against powerful enemies that are trying to stop me from doing that. So we wanted to make sure that the combat still felt challenging, even in today's sandbox.
Quiseram manter o combate parecido, mas desafiador.
And we also just increased the number of combatants, period, so that players had more to do with their more diverse and deadly tools.
Yeah, Guardians have plenty of those available to them. When you were developing these combat spaces as well, were there any moments where you really thought to yourself, like, all right, this is it. Like, we've really centered in on what was great
DPS
about
básico de refugee.
But this is going to be appropriately challenging for today's Guardians.
Yeah, I think when we play tested it, and you know, we had everybody load up with their like new maneuverability tools, their swords, their grapples, to go through the activity, and then we were expecting that like, oh, people are going to breeze through this like it's nothing, like the original 20-minute timer has to become something else. But really, all of that translated over pretty well. Like the individual sections are self-contained enough that like you can't bypass too many things by just using one new tool.
Sure.
The whole thing sort of still felt like 0 hour, even with your new
Tá falando que tipo manteve a essência da 0 hora ainda.
We're gonna go ahead and jump forward here a little
O que é
bit
sandbox que a galera tanto fala nesse jogo? A sandbox é tipo balanceamento do jogo. O sandbox uma missão exótica, por exemplo, é tipo a quantidade de bicho que você vai ter e o que você tem pode usar contra.
Redesigning these activities, or even making, I guess, alterations more appropriately on these activities. You know, with one like Trevor, for example, what was the challenge that you kind of had to overcome with those new movement tools in addition to the combat tools that players have available to them?
Yeah, I guess philosophically, I want to make sure that
eles cortaram aquele pedaço, tá? Eles sabem que vai ter algo ali.
Then I honor that choice and say, yeah, you're highly maneuverable. Like maybe you're in this hallway with Trevor. I don't want to be ground up by these centipede legs, so I'm going to swordscape through this so that I can have a little bit of speed on Trevor. But like, you know, you still can't invalidate the challenge entirely. Trevor will still kill you if you mistime those. So they're just like different expressions of how you want to tackle these challenges, and none of those expressions like fully throw these challenges out the window.
Yeah, actually, something too that I'm seeing pop up in chat here is the mention of the timer. So for starters, there's also, this is normal difficulty, there's also legend, isn't that right? Yeah, Tom, can you tell us a little bit about like any updates to the timers in these missions as well?
So, Willie, feel free to have him correct me if I'm wrong, but normal, it's 40 minutes because we want to give players a little bit extra time.
40 minutos normal, véi.
We want this to be accessible, everyone would get in there and get the experience, but a lot of our kind of like quests, content, and secrets are in the Legend version, which has a 20-minute timer.
E muitos segredos estão na versão lenda, né?
Thank you, chat.
Que é 20 minutos.
You know, these other updates you've made, Are there anything or any changes you've made in particular that you're excited about, that you're comfortable talking about it here, or is it just you want players to dive in and find out for themselves?
Yeah, so the whole secrets setup for 0 Hour is different. So, you know, previously we had key cards. Those have been replaced by another secret system that you'll just have to find out more about for yourself.
Mudaram também o sistema de cartas,
also
de key cards, que é...
That's right. Yeah, we'll hold that one close to the vest. Players will have a chance to see that on their own and see Willie's hard work in person very soon. Now, as we mentioned at the top of the show as well, there's going to be craftable versions of these exotics, and we're going to check them out. But there was one more example that I wanted to ask you about, Rob, in particular. There was some discussion briefly about the acronym that is Trevor. Could you tell us what that stands for?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, but I had to open my phone because it's like impossible to remember that.
We all have our notes. Yeah, it's part of the game.
So early on,
Não sei,
we just realized we had to figure out an acronym for this because we loved the name Trevor because it was paradoxical. I went to school with a kid named Trevor who was the nicest kid in the entire school, just nice to everybody to a fault, right? So I always thought like Trevor is just the nicest name, and so paradoxically, here's this evil thing named Trevor, and we thought it was hilarious. But once we alphanumericized, is that a word? Yeah. Once we made that, we had to come up with the acronym. So the one that I had was Tracking Robotic 3-Vectored Reducer. Because it reduces, right, Tom? It's like it reduces you, yeah. But that was our internal acronym. Yeah. And so when we went to GuardianCon and we did like a fly-through or like a walkthrough. Yeah. And so the community team thought that we should let the fans of GuardianCon decide what the actual acronym for Trevor was. And so we had like the 5 different examples, and my tracking robotic was in there. Oh, yeah. It was one of the things. I was like, please pick mine, please pick mine. Yeah. And so at the end, what they decided on, and they decided by loud applause, and it was like very obvious that this is what they wanted.
The committee had
spoken. Oh, yeah, it's like very obvious. Yeah. What they decided on was tame, relaxed, triple vac roommate. So that's the official name for Trevor.
That's it, it's codified.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to the denizens of
Significado do
GCX.
Trevor.
Thank you very
Não
much
sabe
for
o
your
nome do
hard work
robô
and letting us
da
know
Zero.
exactly what Trevor should be called. That's really cool. I wish I'd been there for that. Okay, now we're taking a quick look at the craftable exotics as well.
Versão craftável agora das armas.
Whisper of the Worm. Tom, can you tell us a little bit about what players who are kind of going to go ahead and facilitate their own play style or want to whisper all to their own? What are they going to have to look forward to with all this?
Yeah, even before we get into the crafting, like I've got my notes here from Chris Proctor, so
you're the man himself.
Yeah, he's sitting on my shoulder, helping me out here. And we wanted to retain the fantasy of both these weapons, of both Whisper and of Outbreak. And you know, Whisper, it's about a hard-hitting precision weapon where you're in the backfield. Like, and if you land your crits, you're rewarded, and you can sustain a ton of damage on a boss or enemies with a large critical area.
Ogres will be felled.
Ogres will be felled. The servitors.
Don't stand a chance. Yeah.
And then with Outbreak, the fantasy is all about spreading the plague of Siva nanites.
Certainly.
And we'll be able to get to that in a minute. But
I think we're looking at Whisper right now.
Yeah. So specifically with Whisper and Outbreak, for both of them, with both these crafted weapons, they'll both have a craftable barrel, magazine, traits, and stock options. The barrel and magazine options will let you really push the stats around. Like, so you'll be able to have like a max stability Whisper if you want.
Yeah.
Você pode ter estabilidade máxima no Whisper.
Advantageous for a weapon that's about this like hitting repeated critical hits.
Certainly.
In an area.
Eu não quero saber dos canos, velho. Mostra a porra do
perk. And then specifically for the perks on Whisper, and both the perks on Whisper
and Outbreak are things that iluminada, preparação em campo.
And both of these exotic
esse aqui vai ser o melhor.
You'll be able to unlock them.
Mulligan. Que é... Qual é o nome do Mulligan em português?
Starts off with Mulligan, which is the classic perk where if you miss your shots, they get refunded. But if you upgrade it, you can get Field Prep, which will give you more shots, which equals more damage.
Yeah.
And then there's No Distractions, which will allow you to, keep under fire, hold your aim on your target better.
Outra
and
chance.
there's also Enlightened Action, which is for more forgiving reloads. So
vai ser outra chance ou preparação em campo.
And then just the kind of the cherry on top there with Whisper is that it's getting a reserves bump. So it's going to go from 18 in reserve to 24 in reserve.
Vai 18 balas, vai ser bufada de 18 balas nas reservas para 25. Isso sem preparação em campo.
Super exciting.
So ultra precise.
Tem a vorpal ou não tem?
Never miss a shot. We'll have even more. Why are you guys laughing? Why is that funny? No, that's really exciting. We also we have Whisper the Worm in addition to Outbreak Perfected now joining the pool of craftable exotic weapons. Let's take a quick look at Outbreak as well while we're here hanging out in the Enclave. Tom, kind of, second versus first, same question. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the perks and updates that players will have available to them with their options to craft Outbreak Perfected?
Yep, and so in addition to barrels and mags, it has its classic Outlaw perk is back. So you get your fast reloads on fire, which works really well with Outbreak. It's all about also landing precision hits to either spawn nanites or to kill enemies and spawn nanites and spread that Siva energy around.
Spread the plague.
Spread the plague. And then the second one, though, that we're added here is Rapid Hit, which plays right into that. So
munição retroativa, fora da lei, acerto rápido, caça-cabeças, meu Deus, PVP, benção.
Rewind rounds. It's hard for me to say.
Fast,
try it out.
Pô, munição retroativa vai ser bizarro.
To minimize your reload. So like if you're hitting shots, you're just going to keep getting more ammo, which is really kind of interesting.
Perpetual motion machine? No, perpetual death machine.
So yeah, it's like do you want the reload?
Caça-cabeças no 540, 450.
And then there's also a head seeker, which I think maybe for PvP or for certain play styles where like you're less focused on your critical shots. That's something to think about as well.
Right.
In terms of catalysts. If you already have them, you're golden. You can craft those. If you don't, play the legend version of Whisper.
Se você já tiver o catalisador, você pode colocar imediato. Se você não tiver, você tem que fazer o modo lenda da missão.
Intrinsic perks that you can slot in. There'll be like a 3-week mini quest line that rolls into the secrets for each of these. And Whisper is coming at launch with Into the Light.
Exciting.
And 0 Hour is coming in May.
Perfect. Okay. So it'll be a chance to go ahead and sink your teeth into 0 Hour for a while before you go ahead and change your attention and start unlocking another.
A Whisper, a Sussu é só em maio que vai ser liberada a missão exótica. E a 0 Hora vai ser agora em abril.
Than just the craftable weapons available as rewards in these missions. There's some tried and true ships. Now, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, but as someone who still to this day wears 1,000 wings.
You and me?
Yeah, like we know the feeling
missões,
of getting that ship and
recompensas lendárias nas missões também.
Tipo, mas hoje em dia tem. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so for both Whisper and for 0 Hour, they're coming back.
As duas naves estão
Same
voltando?
ship, or are there going to be changes on them?
No, these are actually new assets, right? They're new ships, so they won't be
novas
the same.
naves, na verdade.
They won't sit in the same spot in your inventory, and they are updated to look really cool and new. And I think they're exciting, especially we took the old scrap drifter ship that was, I think. Not really loved particularly by the community because it was literally scrapped together from spare parts to get built, and so we did a really nice pass on that. So it's inspired by the look of Outbreak Perfected, and I think it looks great. I think the community is going to love it.
A nave da 0 Hora da Sussu é inspirada nela.
Whisper ship, 1,000 Wings. It's got a new design, so you'll still have your old 1,000 Wings, and if you have that equipped, players are going to know that you're OG and that you got it back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And the new one is going to look like the new one, so there won't be any mistaking the old one for the new one.
Very cool. So for the players who
Quem tem a antiga, tem a antiga. Quem não pegou, não pegou.
There's a chance to go ahead and dive back in. Maybe they weren't there originally, but they want to go ahead and join the 1,000 Wings Club to a degree.
Exactly.
Excellent. So it'll be a chance to go ahead and unlock those.
Para quem é veterano,
Unlock
ser
those as
reconhecido.
well. Excellent. Well, I think we are actually about at the point of the show we're going to go ahead and get ready to rotate over to the PvP map pack.
Opa, mapas do PvP.
Let's go ahead and make sure we thank our incredible team of playtesters here, going ahead and showing off the missions for us. Ashley, Peyton, and Michael, thank you all so much. Very much. There we go. We're getting some waves from the backstage. Thank you all so much for the time. And of course, Willie, I think this is unfortunately the time now we bid you adieu to go ahead and transition into the PvP map.
See you soon.
Awesome. Willie, thank you so much. All right,
O cara é
we're
muito grande,
now joined by another member of the Bungie development team, a staff artist here who has helped made many of the PvP maps that you've also known and loved, the one and only Mr. Cooley Callahan. Cooley, welcome to the show, man.
Guys, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for
Ele
having
fala o
me.
nome com seu
Absolutely. It's been
conhecência.
so long.
Yeah, it has. It's been a minute.
Look at us, right? Who would've thought? Yeah.
That's full circle.
Yeah. Now, we were talking a little bit before the show about Cooley. I'm going to go ahead and do us all a favor and put Cooley on the spot to a degree. Rob, we were talking a bit about Cooley's history.
We were.
Can you tell us a little bit about the man sitting just to your left, the contributions he's made to the PvP pantheon?
Yeah, well, one of the things that was
Chuva
really
de surdo no
important for
PVP.
us was to make sure
Possível.
that the strike team was stacked, that we had the best designers on the strike team. And so Cooley is certainly one of those.
Eles
He's
queriam os melhores
a
designers
six-year veteran of
para
the
o
PvP
time de
team who
PVP,
shipped over 11
time de assalto
maps.
PVP, né?
A lot of them are fan favorites, and I'm not going to steal any more of Cooley's thunder. I'll just let him talk about some of that.
Yeah,
Já revelou as missões já.
not everyone's a banger. I mean, there's definitely some maps that people would want some words with me. But I
We'll
think,
save that for later. But what are some of the
just
bangers?
come find me. It's I think Burning Shrine, which is now Burnout. It's such a classic map. It's a Trials favorite. And then Midtown is another map that turned out really well. We built that for Countdown, but I was just chatting with another Destiny fan at the dog park the other day, talking about how well that map supports all of the different engagement ranges, which is definitely something that we try to do. We try to create places for players to use their favorite tools.
Yeah. Now with the maps, we're going to be looking at
Eles não
three
são
of them
querer
today
uma
with
palavra
kind of
sobre
a
isso.
primary focus on, you were mentioning earlier, I think it was the 3v3 kind of competitive side of things was sort of the focus for these maps.
Absolutely, yeah. I think early on,
Foco dos
a lot of
mapas
the
é 3v3
direction that we got
competitivo.
was we wanted to bolster that competitive gameplay experience with new maps, tweaks to the modifiers of some of the modes, and so we, in our play testing, really focused on the competitive playlist and really centered and put those experiences at the forefront. And then, all
Essas
Destiny
missões
maps
0 hora
consider a
e
variety of modes, so we also
sussurro.
made sure they worked elsewhere. But for the most part, we really did want to provide new experiences and just breathe a little bit of new life into the higher, maybe a little bit sweatier gameplay.
So you were staring directly at me when you said sweaty, but that's fine. We'll let it go for now. Actually, briefly too on that topic before we kind of go into the guided tour of these maps. Having had so much time to sort of be a part of building the tapestry that so much of our PvP happens on, what were some of the key lessons that you've kind of
Que ele
taken away
faz,
from
ele
having
é
built those
designer
maps and
de
seeing them go through everything from
artista
trials to quick
de mapa,
play
né?
and
Uma coisa assim.
bringing forward those
Não lembro
lessons
mais.
into these
Uma coisa
maps?
assim.
Yeah, I think one thing
Designer de
that
mapa.
is always at the forefront of our minds is, trying to strike that balance between, providing the playground for players to express themselves and express their guardian and their play style. So a lot of verticality, a lot of movement, and then balancing that with making sure players understand where they're getting shot from, and creating a satisfying PvP engagement that doesn't leave players, cursing the map or feeling like they don't understand why they died. So we want to make sure that players have, we want to provide a choice for players that's always available to them to riff and to work with their team to use the map to their advantage. So it's a balancing like a complex gameplay space that allows a lot of movement and freedom without opening it up so much that you're not understanding like, geez, I can get shot from so many different places.
Certainly.
So we really, it's a little bit of back and forth. We'll open it up, we'll try some things.
Cara, medo desses
Especially
mapas.
this time around, we tried some stuff and got
Se
into
forem
the
3
weeds a little
mapas
bit.
ruins, velho, a gente só vai ver
I
mapa
think
do
that's all
Crisol
part of the discovery
no Destiny
process of
4.
finding-
Não vai ser nem no
finding
Destiny
the
3.
gameplay that we want to create, and so we go a little further, maybe too far in the openness and Swiss cheese, and then we bring it back and make it a little bit more focused and really dial in the engagements that we want.
That's awesome. I mean, speaking of getting in the weeds, there's no time like the present. Shall we go ahead and dive on in?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Cool. Diving on in. All right, we got the first of 3 maps to go ahead and show off. This is the we have one on Europa, one on Neomuna, and then one on one of the pyramid ships in Essos.
Pirâmide, Neomuna, Europa.
So this is the first one. This is here on Europa. Cooley, can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here today, or where we are?
Yes, so this map is called Eventide Labs.
Me dá negócio assim também pro jogo ver. O cara tá com
research outpost on Europa. It just so happens that Aramis has chosen this location as a refueling station for her catch. So here you'll see, perched just above the horizon is her catch in the skybox with, it's getting hooked up.
É modo criativo.
We have a servitor over here that's hooked up to the catch to provide that ether that the elixir
Pô, eu tenho certeza que uma zona vai ser ali, tá, pra eles.
So we really wanted to situate the maps in the universe and draw on that deep Destiny lore. But yeah, we definitely have a presence of Fallen here, set amongst the abandoned human, ice-encrusted structures of the past, which has been a really fun environment to work on. We definitely want to bring in as many new palettes as possible because there's so much great environment art content, and the palettes are really cool, and we want to use those in PvP wherever we can, just to the different palettes have different characters.
Vamos retirar meus FPS. Fit nave
also, when it comes to kind of finding these maps of place in the world, Rob, having kind of looking at through an artistic lens, what were some of the challenges or even kind of exciting opportunities potentially of finding, new places for these maps to live in the more modern era of Destiny that we've been experiencing more recently?
Okay.
Well, we really wanted to make sure that when we do an update like this, it's a major refresh to the map rotator, right? Like
Como o mapa ser muito parecido, velho, que acaba sendo um pouco muito confuso, tá? O respawn é ali, velho. Respawn ali atrás onde ele tá.
Available to us, and I'm looking at it again now. I mean, I'm not getting sick of looking at this. The team does such a good job.
It's gorgeous. I mean, one of the cool things is just how purposeful everything feels in the world. The art team always pushes it so far where it really feels like you're walking into a truly recently defunct, human colony or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and the frozen world of Europa, I mean, they all have their advantages for PvP, but the frozen ice walls of Europa are just perfect for multiplayer, and I'm sure Cooley's going to talk about this a bunch.
Yeah, actually, also too, Cooley, if you wouldn't mind, as people who have heard me talk too much about Destiny PvP would know,
acho que essa parte aqui do meio vai ser interessante. Se vocês colocarem uma zona ali, velho, for tipo exatamente no meio.
Opportunities that I'll have to maybe rack up some additional kills as I dive into this map the first time.
Totally. If long range is your thing, this spot out here is definitely the place.
Saiu do modo câmera.
There's one
Criativo,
spawn that happens for one team over by C and then one over by A, and so in these competitive modes, if you've got an objective out here, this sight line is really important to lock down. So this is a spot where you're going to have two teams
não é tão pequeno quanto pensava,
each other,
porque a gente tava com o Fobius
rushing over here to try to get to this zone and lock it down.
Tá, é pouco maior do que a gente pensava.
If you're rolling with that long range kit, you
câmera
can
enganou.
hang back and sort of lock down this airspace here so that you can provide cover and maybe support your team from being harassed down on this point. And then
fantastic.
We also have sort of this the sight line in the middle, which will be pretty fun. It's definitely going to be a race to for each player or each team to kind of get to this spot and lock down
Parece bem mais pequeno com
portal here to ensure that you can
bem mais
push
com a
into
câmera.
this space and kind of control the middle. But as you can see, there's lots of ways for players to come in and flank. So if you're holding the space, you'll really not want to
não
be here
pareceu
for
ser
too
ruim,
long unless you've got the support to do it.
Yeah. Make sure you throw those grenades right off of the rip, basically, when you're coming out of spawn.
Tem opções de você poder rodar, por exemplo, se o cara tá tipo com uma barricada embaixo, tem uma opção para ir por cima. É importante.
It provides a lot of opportunity for grenades, like trip mines, and to bounce things off of the back of the walls, and the shapes here are just
Tem como
really
tipo
fun
passar
to
sem
play with.
precisar tipo rushar numa barricada, por exemplo.
One of 3 maps. Let's go ahead and prepare to go ahead and move on to the next one here really quickly. We've got coming up next Neomuna as well.
Cara, não pareceu ruim, velho.
Finding a place, on Neomuna, obviously that makes sense for PvP.
Tem que ver no jogo, né?
Seems pretty natural, honestly, given just like how rich and vibrant and exciting of a place it is. What was it like, even starting from an artistic standpoint on this map, Rob?
This was a really exciting map for the team. It's a shopping/entertainment center for the
Ele fez lembrar pouco do mapa do Destiny 1, Thieves Den, velho. Esqueci o nome em português agora. Não sei se é muito parecido, tipo, faz lembrar só.
There's a lot of recognizable things, human scale things that
Vamos ver, né?
look relatable, and we don't always get that in all of our palettes, and so this is also an opportunity for us to have a really clean architectural map that has a lot
ficou bonito, tá?
Crisp edges and
ficou bonito, tá?
Very flat floors. So all of definitely the more competitive players and the sort of the more PvP diehards, they really take to this map, and it's an instant hit. People are,
Não,
just
sai da câmera, desgraça.
with, how readable the
A
map
câmera dá
is.
zoom da
It's one
porra,
of those
velho.
maps that you play a couple times and you get it. Like, you understand that it's all about this center atrium room that is really open and kind of, has this big pit in the middle, and then there's this area
faz lembrar
down
muito
here,
um mapa
which
de
is,
COD, velho.
where a lot of objectives spawn, and there's some special ammo down here, but then there's also this place over here where the heavy ammo spawns, and players will oftentimes just pop up here to do a quick check and maybe
Faz
try to get a cheeky kill on somebody who's maybe running
o cara...
from
ele
cover
dá
to
zoom com o
cover,
negócio,
but
velho.
you can't hang out here for very long because you've got so many different angles at which you can
Pô,
get shot from. But that's kind of like that balance of what I was talking about before. Like we want to provide that, but we want to make sure that
é trio N,
it's
velho.
not too powerful or you know, it's
Trio N,
still
ou
it's a risk
seja,
reward, right?
3
You're making a
N.
trade-off, and,
Aqui onde ele tá, ali do meio é
the
lá
players
embaixo.
who are using the map well and who understand the map will
12 sub morrer na...
use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
Cara, não esquece que você tá vendo com a câmera do cara, que é muito... tem um zoom da
I remember
porra.
overhearing some discussions with you designers talking about the clean zone in PvP. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it kind of helped inform the design of this map?
Yeah, definitely. I think the clean zone is something that, you know, a lot of
Pô, muito bonito o mapa.
a lot of developers really use to sort of create this space for
O cara tentando encontrar o botão pra ir pra
the
primeira
player
pessoa.
to pop, right? To like really stand out from the environment. And so for us, it's about where the player's head height is. And this map is, you know, just one of the examples of how it can really provide for a good PvP experience to have this sort of mark on the wall where you can kind of expect players to reside in.
A zona embaixo do...
Till they jump around and strands suspend you in the air and you're just left there cursing the heavens for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm speaking on my own behalf. This
Nossa, fica em cima, velho.
fantastic. Yeah, this is, I will say, one of the maps that, having done a little bit of playtesting myself, I still have to give you credit for perhaps one of the most diabolical heavy weapon spawns, or heavy ammo spawns, rather, I should see, in any PvP.
Pesada
map.
bem no
Like the
meio,
sheer
velho.
amount of risk reward that goes into just making your way safely, or so you think, out to that particular territory.
Right.
You know, as you guys were even building that balance in of these consumables on the map, Cooley, what was it like sort of having that process evolve or grow?
Yeah.
Cara, parece ser bom.
You know, typically when we start laying out a map, we just
Faz
kind of
lembrar
start with
lembrar
control
pouco
because it's a good base point. It's
mapa de COD
it
com
requires
javelin
you
sendo
know,
o meio
very
mais
well-defined
concentrado.
combat pockets that have an objective in them. But then from there, we start mapping out the other objectives that might exist on a map, like the heavy
Tu vai
ammo
ler a
one.
B.
And I think we've kind of gravitated more toward having special ammo live next to some of the other objectives on the map, so you're not constantly having to make a choice of where.
Ele tá
where
realmente
should
no
I
modo
go?
câmera, velho, porque o personagem dele tá ali.
But we kind of map those things out, and it's sort of a formula. There's definitely a sort of a order of operations, so to speak. Of you start with, you know, these big strokes. You go to the next stage and start making sure that you've got, you know, space and combat pockets for, you know, maybe Dominion or, you know, some other game modes, and things just kind of fall into place from there.
Mano, vocês estão vendo que a B tem duas zonas de acesso, pra cada respawn?
We're going to continue our guided tour and we're going to make our way over to Essence, to one of the pyramid ships, to check
E agora
out
para o mapa
the
da
final
pirâmide.
map that'll be releasing in this pack. As we're flying in, I gotta give you guys credit. Like the space that exists inside those pyramid ships that's being terraformed by the Traveler looks just absolutely incredible. But this is the first time you guys have had a chance to really flex your muscles and build a PvP map out here. You know, Rob, just to start from your perspective as we load in, what was it like developing this, you know, playground for Guardians that's kind of so deep in the enemy's backyard?
I think it was really tough. You
Yeah.
know, like I remember there were quite a few iterations of this map, and I know Cooley's going to go into more detail, but like from a high level, it's a pretty inherently noisy palette. You know, Cooley was talking about the clean zone. There's some palettes in the game that are just very visually noisy. So the geometry is noisy. They create a lot of shadow and a lot of highlights just by the geometry itself. And then the textures, the shaders that are on the geometry, those can be noisy.
Yeah.
And then there's the clutter of the palette. So when you have an environment with a lot of entropy and there's just rubble everywhere, there's like garbage strewn around or plants hanging down, like we often do in Destiny, we have to declutter. Some of like the European dead zone maps, for example, are highly cluttered. And so this was an example of one of those
Poucas ideias.
fairly entropic, high clutter palettes that the team had to kind of
Ok, faz lembrar
wrangle
pouco de
into
junção.
shape.
Yeah.
Normal tá na
And
pirâmide.
I'm sure Cooley's going to talk about that process because it was quite a process.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, Cooley, I'd love to continue and just start there. You know, taking this space on a pyramid ship and kind of making it suitable for a PvP map. What was that process like from your perspective, kind of from more of a design side?
Yeah, it's again a process of back and forth. You know, we start with mass out, and mass out is the simplest and cleanest a map will ever be. And you know, from there we start developing the spatial character of the map. And one of the things we like to ask ourselves is, what is this place? And even with a more abstract palette like the Essence ship, it's worth asking that question because we can leverage
Nossa, eles colocaram uma bandeira ali, né?
spatial
São sheds.
archetypes that just kind of like naturally resonate with people. So like here we have, in this map, we have sort of these dueling huts, or these dueling ziggurats, and inside of them is this artifact or shrine. So maybe this is like maybe this part of the ship is a collection of mysterious
Uma boa coisa dos
artifacts
mapas, pelo que eu tô vendo, é que,
that's
tipo, é
collected.
bem simétrico ver os
And
mapas.
so we lean on those things
O
to
tempo de
give
ir
a little bit of rhyme and
pro
reason
meio de
to a
lado
space that
parece a
otherwise
mesma coisa do
is
outro.
completely abstract. And that is also really useful for us in terms of we can make any kind of space we want. Like, we're not limited by architectural constraints, but you know, it can be tough sometimes to orient players in the map when you don't have things
Mas
like
é maior que
doors
os outros.
or, you know, like TVs or you know, any sort of, you know, human scale architectural pieces that kind of clue you in. So yeah.
It's also too is I remember we were talking a little bit before the show, Rob, even about, you know, what it was like from a design standpoint and bringing in external testers to try these maps out for the first time. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and kind of, as you, I think, phrased it, discovering your own blind spots?
Yeah, well, we've done this before for years, really, and we did it again here, and it was, I think, really successful because, you know, it was 2 days. They ran through these maps when they were still in development. They weren't too far enough along where we couldn't make some pivots that we needed to.
Yeah.
And they found a lot of stuff. I mean,
Nossa, dá pra ver o viajante dali,
for
velho.
example, we thought it was in a pretty good place.
Yeah.
And a lot of things were called out. They didn't pull any punches. They were honest and clear and constructive with the feedback. And it wasn't super easy to hear it all, but you know, when the team listened to it and we took tons of notes, and it was also about, they gave feedback on our sandbox as well.
Yeah.
But lots and lots of map feedback. It was incredibly useful. And you know, just another lesson in what we don't see.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so valuable to do that. And these, I can't say who they were, but they're very well-known community players.
Maybe some folks in chat, who knows? But
yeah. But you know, we really were careful about who we brought in because we wanted people that would be very pragmatic. You know, they weren't interested in their own, you know, YouTube monetization strategy.
Caixa de munição especial é por causa do modo.
They wanted the game to be in a great place. They wanted PvP to be in a great place.
Na partida privada você pode escolher.
Absolutely.
Right? And so they were carefully
na forma final.
And great communicators who could articulate
Que tipo de especial você quer?
Really speak to what they were experiencing and what we could do to fix what they were experiencing.
Yeah.
And like Cooley can
133 metros dá-se. É o maior mapa dos três.
How valuable that was, and
we
definitely want to keep doing that.
Seems like
Certainly, yeah, Cooley, can you tell us a little bit more about that experience on your side as well?
Totally. I mean, it's so fun to, like, those are some of my favorite moments when we can get a bunch of you know, super fans from the community in and show them work in progress stuff, and they can actually give us real actionable feedback that we take back to
colocado mais especial aqui
our
embaixo.
desks and talk about it, and we, you know, we discuss how can we you know, sort of take their feedback and move forward. And this content is for them in a big way, right? Like, we want
especial em cima, especial embaixo, pesado em cima.
We absolutely, you know, that's our
private matches.
Our goal is to you know, create content that they're going to love playing and that they're excited to play and that their communities are going to get excited to play and sort of learn together and build strategies for. You know, that's the funnest part of the job.
O mapa lembra muito o mapa da China, sim,
on your side in general, what are you most excited for players to experience once this gets out into the world with Into the Light?
Yeah, I'm excited to see these maps rotate into trials. I'm excited for players to have a totally new trials experience.
Eles querem ver os mapas
no
Osiris.
It's going to be a sort of an experience of discovery of these
Vai ser uma experiência de
new strategies and
descobrir, velho.
Players to also, you know, the meta isn't really formed yet. I mean, like, we sort of know how the map plays, but it's always a fun surprise to see in the wild just how the map ends up sorting out and what people end up doing, and you know, we're really looking forward to just watching what happens.
muito grande para um 3v3. Você acabou de passar por um mapa, por um fim de semana que é multiplex, né?
To go ahead and dive on in on trials, no matter what the case is. Maybe try and go ahead and actually get some more competitive rank. Cooley, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through these.
Esse mapa é membro da Destiny 1. Pô, agora todos os mapas novos são membro da Destiny 1.
We'll go ahead and use that as a moment to conclude the quick tour of as well of the PvP map.
A Raid é membro da Destiny 1 também.
A quick question from chat from Jacosor asking about are we going to get a playlist or mode? It'll be just these new maps during Into the Light, and the answer is yes. When they launch on May 7th, we'll have a 3v3 playlist to go ahead and talk just about these items.
Dia 7 de maio é o lançamento deles. E terá uma playlist específica para esses 3 mapas.
All right, well, that so far wraps up the first 2 segments of our show. But we've got, as I mentioned at the top, a few more announcements for you as well. So you may have heard us mention the word Pantheon in the TWID last week, or even on the show here last week potentially as well. We have got a brand new raid boss gauntlet rather, starting on April 30th. Now there will be more information about this in an upcoming TWID. You'll have more details to dig into shortly, but you will have the Pantheon coming up where you'll have an opportunity to face grueling raid bosses in a weekly challenge with escalating difficulties and rewards. Now, this is a chance for you to go ahead and rally your clan or the perfect fire team with Fireteam Finder, if you're able to track them down, to go ahead and track down those exotics, adept weapons, any emblems you may not have gotten your hands on, but we have more details for that in the coming weeks. Keep an eye on the TWID. Cosmo and the community team, thank you for your hard work putting that together. 2, when you dive on in on April 9th, actually rather before we get there, I'm sorry, we will have the opportunity to you'll have the opportunity to get a title through your course of Into the Light as well. So if you dive on in, go ahead and unlock all the triumphs associated with the
boss de
seal,
raid
march into the final shape with a brand new
que você terá que ter um time para
as well. So make sure go ahead and get those big challenges bid offs, that way you can handle them as early as you possibly can and let the witness know that you're on the way. And we have 3 really, really cool things hitting on April 9th when Into the Light launches. The first one is, if you're a new player, you got a buddy who's just jumping into the game for the first time, and you'd rather not hang out with Shahan and the Cosmodrome, then you have an opportunity to go ahead and just join the front lines. You can skip the New Light campaign, give Shahan maybe a high five on the way out, ask him for a weekly bounty when you're back later. You have a chance to go ahead and meet up with your friends, head to the Hall of Champions, grab the gift of the Thunder Lord, so choose, and get ready for battle alongside them. So you'll be able to go ahead and grab some of these New Light kits as well, depending on what your subclass of choice is out of the gate. But your barriers to dive in with your friends have never been lower. There'll be a chance to go ahead and dive on into everything you're seeing with Into the Light here. Also, we have a couple more things. We have some questions in chat about this as well from Idzepski and Atlas Live TV. But on 4.9, you'll have the opportunity to also change the way your character looks. So you'll be able to go ahead and change your hair.
Customização. Semana que vem.
If you want to go ahead and change your face paint, if you want to go ahead and risk it to be one of those guardians who goes helmetless in the tower, I'm not sure if I'm brave enough, but I know many of you are, your chance will be arriving very soon with Into the Light. And there will also be an opportunity to change your name. So Guardian 4681 out there.
Novo nome. Você vai ter mais token de nome.
DPS will be able to answer that question for you, but you'll have that chance as well once Into the Light launches. Now, there's a lot, but we also have one more thing for all of you. Next week, we're going to be joining you again for a special developer preview of some gameplay for Destiny 2: The Final Shape. It'll be here, wherever you're watching live, you'll be able to go ahead and watch it on April 9th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific.
Live semana que vem, preview da forma final.
Have been hard at work for some cool stuff that you are definitely not going to want to miss. And over the course of that show, Twitch drops will be live. So there'll be another emblem, which you can see here live on the screen, that'll be available after about 15 minutes of view time. If you haven't gone ahead and also unlocked the emblems that you got as a result of this show, or that we're having available during the Into the Light streams, then you have a chance to go ahead and spend some more time unlocking those as well. But that does it.
Tão cedo?
Não falta muito tempo, falta 2 meses. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We're thrilled about what we've been able to show off and thrilled about what the team's been working on for Into the Light. So thank you for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, do it already.
See you out there having a good time. So thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today.
Galera, se você não deixou o like e gostou da live,
we'll go ahead and do so anyway to the incredible team here at Bungie.
Deixa o like se você gostou do conteúdo. Pô,
thank you all so much for all of your hard work. We're nothing without the
cara, boss rush,
teams that we have here. Teams are obviously greater than heroes, and we're firm believers.
Será que eles vão ter a coragem?
Great examples of that whole scenario. To our playtesters as well that have helped us bring this show to life, to Ashley, Peyton, and Michael here behind the scenes, thank you so much for showing off some of the cool new content. And of course, all of our guests, to Tom, to Rob, to Cooley, to Willie, to Noah, to Kelsey. I'm not forgetting anyone, am I?
Chris.
To Chris, thank you. To the one and only Mr. Chris
Só baixar o
Proctor
nome.
as well. Thank you all for
Panteão, o
joining us.
nome do negócio.
And now that's that is
Boss de
about it. So
incursão.
keep the stream here live.
Está chegando, onde você pode caçar chefes de raid, né? E obter exóticas, armas adeptas e emblemas. Parece ser um boss rush, velho. Esse preview vai determinar se terá hype ou não. É um dev preview, né? Então vamos ver. Mas é um bom começo. Ok. Pô. Ficou legal, velho. Os 3 mapas ali. Ok. Muito bom. Foi a melhor das 3 lives. Mesmo tendo um boot novo na semana passada, né? Bandeira de ferro. O retorno de uma antiga competição. Muito obrigado. Achei que a surpresa seria algo maior. Pô. Dev. Troca de nome. Live de dev, né? Da forma final. Troca de nome. Boss Rush. Foi uma boa surpresa até, velho. Aparência. 3 mapas. Legal, velho. Deixa eu ver. O que tem na nossa amiga. Opa. What the fuck? Ok, pra quem quiser. Tava esperando uma campanha antiga voltar, uma raid. Panteão chega 9 de abril, sim. Mida. A bota. Veículo que ninguém liga. Guerra Vermelha. Você não ia jogar Guerra Vermelha de volta. Você, no máximo, ia fazer uma vez. Mudar a aparência próxima terça, sim. Bonito, velho. Ok, nada demais. Torre. Pô, gostei, velho. Nice. Não esperava tanto quanto eles revelaram, sinceramente. Ainda pra mais. Panteão, velho. Estranho. É porque eles falam armas adeptas, armaduras exóticas e armas exóticas, velho. E o mais engraçado é que semana que vem é gameplay de dev. Ou seja, não é trailer, não é tudo produzido, é os caras mostrando a forma final, velho, no jogo. Presa do Javali. Sonks. Multiaço. Não. Essas graças. Não, peraí. Não, peraí, é certa, né? É a mira certa, né? Tô viajando. Acho que é certo. Poderia parar? Ok. Acho que é tudo, né? Deixa eu só ver. Tô ficando hypado pra DLC. Bandeira de ferro, enfrentamento, colisão. Colisão. Briga competitiva, eliminação. Campo de batalha psionico. Meu Deus do céu. Artimanha, não, peraí. Ninguém liga. Operação Escudo Serafim. Profecia de volta. Se nem o canhão de mão antigo do Bandeira volta, eu acho que a adaga não vai voltar mesmo. Usou minha semana. E vai ser isso. Bota discípulo. Só nada. Pô, sussurro e surto craftável, velho. Pô, a surto craftável um caça-cabeças, velho. Vou escrever na loja? Não, abre o teu jogo. Ou volta no web. Pô, o update da LUZ ADENTRO vai ser melhor que a queda da LUZ, velho. Aqui os tonalizadores. Então, agora, essa foi a live. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Interessante. Vamos ver os 3 mapas do Crisão. Tamo junto. Nos vemos talvez amanhã pra Bandeira de Ferro, se não só sexta. Beleza? Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Nos vemos na próxima. Daqui a pouco tem um vídeo, velho. Vídeo interessante pra quem for jogar a Investida, que é o novo modo semana que vem, tá? Vídeo daqui a pouco sobre. Acho que muitos de vocês vão gostar. E é isso. Adeus.